eclipsed by blood. When I received the letter, I had no idea it would change my life forever. The parchment was old, its surface rough beneath my fingertips, as if time itself had tried to erase its existence. It was sealed with a wax emblem depicting an unfamiliar crested serpent coiled around a dagger. Inside, there were only a few words. "Come to Vludar Castle. He awaits you." I hesitated. The name of Vludar Castle sent a chill through me. I had heard whispers of it in old tales, warnings shared by those who feared the darkness. The castle lay deep within the mountains, shrouded in mist, a place untouched by time. They said it had belonged to a nobleman who vanished centuries ago, leaving only ruin and sorrow in his wake. No one ventured near it. No one who did ever returned. Yet, as I held the letter, I felt something stir inside me, an undeniable pull, an ancient force guiding me toward the unknown. I had no choice. The journey to Vludar Castle was long and perilous. The mountain paths were treacherous, the wind howling through the jagged peaks like a mournful spirit. The closer I came, the heavier the air became, thick with the scent of damp earth and decay. By the time I reached the castle gates, the full moon hung like a silent witness in the sky. The massive iron doors loomed before me, their surfaces rusted and weathered by time. Yet they were not locked. They stood slightly ajar, inviting me in. Or perhaps, warning me away. With a deep breath, I stepped inside. The scent of old wood, dust, and something metallic coppery, rich filled my nostrils. Blood? The grand entrance hall stretched before me, its vastness swallowed by shadows. The flickering torches cast long, wavering figures against the ancient stone walls. My eyes were drawn to the paintings lining the corridor, portraits of men and women dressed in fine garments, their faces eerily lifelike. Their eyes followed my every move, as if they were aware of my presence. A chill crept up my spine. Something was watching me, something unseen, yet near. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the sound of my hesitant footsteps. As I ascended the grand staircase, a distant whisper echoed through the corridors, unintelligible yet unmistakably real. The air grew colder. The shadows deepened. At the end of the hall, a door stood slightly open. A flickering light spilled from within. I stepped inside. The chamber was vast, its high ceilings disappearing into darkness. Hundreds of black candles burned along the walls, their flames casting eerie patterns against the ancient stone. And in the center of the room stood a figure, a man tall and statuesque, his presence commanding and unnatural. His skin was pale as moonlight, his eyes the color of burning embers. A slow, knowing smile spread across his lips. "Welcome," he said, his voice like silk and steel. "I have been expecting you." His gaze bore into me, and in that moment, I understood I had come too far. There was no turning back. The walls blurred. My heartbeat thundered in my ears. He raised his hand and spoke my name, a name he could not have known. My vision darkened. My body collapsed, and then, nothing. I awoke in a chamber unlike any I had seen before. The air was thick with the scent of candle wax and something deeper, something ancient. Pale moonlight filtered through a small, barred window, casting ghostly beams across the stone walls. Pain. A searing, unbearable thirst clawed at my throat. My body felt foreign, my skin too cold, too sensitive. Every sound was magnified, the distant crackling of flames, the soft rustle of fabric, the rhythmic thumping of a heartbeat. But it was not my own. I turned my gaze toward the mirror across the room. The face that stared back was not my own. My eyes, once deep brown, now glowed with a crimson hue. My skin, once warm, was now pale as marble. My lips, They carried the taste of blood. A sharp knock on the door made me jump. "You are awake," came a voice. Smooth, alluring, deadly. The door swung open, and he entered, the man from the chamber. "My master." "You now belong to the night," he said, stepping closer. "But before you can claim your place, you must prove yourself." I opened my mouth to speak, but no words came. He gestured, and from the shadows, another figure emerged, immortal. Their pulse echoed in my ears, their scent intoxicating. Hunger surged through me, primal and undeniable. "Feed," the master commanded. "Or perish." My body moved before my mind could protest. The taste of blood was unlike anything I had known, warm, electric, life-giving. As it flowed through me, my senses sharpened, my strength multiplied. I was no longer human. I was something more. I knelt before the master. "I swear loyalty to you and to the night," I whispered. A new life had begun. Not all welcomed my transformation. The ancient clans, bound by rigid tradition, saw me as an abomination. Whispers of war spread through the halls of Vludar Castle. Assassins lurked in the darkness, their silver daggers thirsting for my kind. When the castle fell under attack, we were forced to flee. The master was gravely wounded, his strength waning. There was only one way to save him, a relic hidden in the ruins of an ancient cathedral. I had to find it, alone. The relic was more than a cure. It was a key to my past. I was no random soul chosen for transformation. My bloodline carried a legacy as old as time itself. I was tied to the darkness in ways I had never imagined. With the relic in hand, I returned to the master. But the choice was no longer mine. I had tasted eternity. The night had claimed me, body and soul. I stood beneath the moon, feeling the hunger stir within me once more. The night called to me, and I answered, forever. The night had embraced me fully, yet I was still learning to navigate its darkness. The master sent me on my first hunt, an initiation to prove my worth. My senses were razor sharp, my hunger a raging fire. I tracked my prey through the dense forest, their heartbeat a siren's song in the silence. When I struck, it was effortless, quicker than a breath, quieter than the wind. As their blood warmed my veins, I felt something stir inside me. Power, primal and intoxicating, but something else stirred too. A shadow watching from the treetops. I was not alone. A blade flashed in the moonlight. Instinct took over, and I barely dodged the silvered edge aimed for my throat. The attacker was no ordinary mortal. His movements were too precise, too practiced. A hunter. I had heard whispers of them, men and women trained to eradicate my kind. Their knowledge was ancient, their methods merciless. The hunter struck again, and pain seared through my side as the blade grazed my flesh. I had no choice but to flee. But as I disappeared into the night, I knew this was only the beginning. I returned to Vludar Castle, the wound on my side already healing. The master was waiting. "You have drawn attention," he said, his voice like ice. "The hunters will not stop until you are ashes." I bowed my head. "Then I will strike first." A slow smile spread across his lips. "Good." The hunter had a name. Elias Gray, a legend among his kind. He had slain hundreds of my brethren. I found him in a small village, his scent distinct even among the stench of mortal life. He was waiting for me. He had known I would come. "You are young," he said, gripping his dagger. "You don't have to become a monster." I bared my fangs. "I already am." The battle was swift, brutal. He fought with the fury of the dying. But in the end, I stood victorious, his lifeblood staining my hands. Yet as I gazed upon his lifeless eyes, something inside me felt hollow. The victory did not bring peace. I began to see their faces, those I had killed, those whose lives I had stolen. Their whispers filled my dreams, their voices clawing at my mind. The master noticed my unease. "Regret is for the weak," he hissed. "You are above them now." But was I? I could no longer remember the warmth of the sun, the sound of laughter, the taste of food. Had I gained power only to lose my soul? The other vampires sensed my weakness. Some whispered of treachery, others of exile. One night, I awoke to find a dagger at my throat. One of my own kind had turned against me. I fought like a cornered beast. When it was over, my attacker lay dead, but I knew this was only the first betrayal. The clans would not tolerate doubt. I had to leave Vludar Castle. I wandered the world, searching for purpose. Cities, forests, ruins. I walked among mortals like a shadow, feeding only when necessary, but the hunger never ceased. And neither did the guilt. One night, I found an ancient monastery, hidden deep in the mountains. The monks within knew what I was, yet they did not fear me. "You seek absolution," the elder said, "but there is none for what you have become." Still, they allowed me to stay. For the first time in centuries, I knew peace. But peace is fleeting. One evening, as the sun set, the air grew heavy with the scent of death. The master had come. "You cannot escape what you are," he said, stepping through the monastery gates. "Come back, or die." I looked at him, the one who had made me, the one who had enslaved me to the night. And for the first time, I felt something stronger than fear, defiance. The battle was unlike any I had fought before. The master was old, powerful, but I had something he did not: hope. As the first rays of dawn broke through the sky, I lunged. The sun touched my skin, burning, but I did not stop. I drove the hunter's dagger into the master's heart. He let out a scream that shattered the heavens. His body turned to ash, carried away by the wind. I collapsed, the sunlight consuming me. But as my vision darkened, I felt something I had long forgotten: relief. I had chosen my own fate, and in that moment, I was free.